Hi, I'm Kenzie. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a standout young producer. My main focus has been on writing articles. I've been involved with this project since the start, although I've really opened up and I've got a lot more hands-on involved, I'd say.
My name's Tess, my pronouns are they, them, and I've been involved with the project for a year as well. And I guess my kind of main passion within it is kind of the creative aspect and what visually you can create, getting kind of information across and how impactful you can make it.
My name is Isaac, they, them, and my passion about this is the fact that we get to plan such big events and like we see it, we will just be around a table writing stuff out and then a few weeks later we're in a massive building setting up for like an exhibit.
Standout's a project that started in our hometown about the LGBTQ plus community. It was based off of a plaque that's outside our library that's commemorating a meeting that happened for homosexual rights. And it's been really important for us to connect with that history. And we've done two events now, kind of getting the information that we've found across to the general public. And it's been a really great experience.
Stand Out isn't only about the history though, it's about what we can do to make the future better for people like us.
Realize your heritage and you realize what's been done, what can be done, and what's left to do. And I think that's just sort of the key part of it. Like, it helps bring stuff to life. It's all good and all to read about, like, how, such and such thing happened in a textbook or in a Wikipedia article, but to actually go out and, interact with it, it's something truly different.
It all started with the Find Out More event, which was for like recruiting people for the project,
Yeah.
but it also like a lot of older people came to just kind of see what it was about and meet us as like the younger people in our community. After that, we've been meeting up with like similar faces again. Like I recognise people who've come to our past two events who were at that first Find Out More event. It's nice to know that there are people who are like a constant in the project and they're following it and they're are like kind of excited to see what comes next.
It was important for us to keep it at the library because that is where the meeting began to open up a gay club in Burnley. And even though all that happened, we still don't have one anymore. So I think it's important for it's still a group to be in Burnley.
An important part of heritage is the community, so it's good just to interact with them. A lot of our interactions have come from the form of our oral histories, which are like informal interviews, just getting people to tell the stories. It isn't like necessarily like big documented history. Chances are it's history that you're going to find within the people, I guess, not always like the books.
I do think it's important to connect with the people that you're actually trying to find out information about, because I mean we've been to archives and we've been through documents, but I found it a lot more helpful to talk to the people who were there or like their mum and dads were there or whatever.
I also feel like just because we're doing a lot more stuff with like shop windows and stuff, but I feel like having stuff like that would like make people like feel less alone. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So if you like struggle with your identity and you don't want to tell anyone, you walk past a shop window like, oh,
Yeah, it's a bit of a beacon, isn't it? It's starting to create a safer environment in our
yeah.
town, which is kind of the end goal.
We have a lot of fun, but we get like work done. We make games. We did a risk assessment at one point, and yeah, also just the friends in general.
Yeah, it's nice. I think that I've got out of it a sense of like responsibility, to kind of put your name on something and know that as a group, like it's our project. And that's really important, I think.
I think for me, I've gotten confidence, like that's just massively improved over time. But I think most of all, I've sort of got this like sense of community within the group. That's really nice to have. It means like I can have a bit of an awful week, but I know that on Saturdays, I know where I'm going to be, I know who I'm going to be with, I know it's going to be a good time, and it's just really nice to have.
Projects like this are really important because they do make you realise kind of more about who you are.
History makes identity, and if you lost the history, then you can't really know where you came from. Especially with LGBTQ history, it's been hidden for quite a long time. What we realised, digging it back up, is that not a lot of people know it either.
We know what we know about the modern community, but we had no idea about kind of the trauma and devastating things that have happened in the past. And that really makes you kind of appreciate where you are, and it makes you want to connect with like the older members of your community. And I think that that's really important as well, because like we've had conversations with older members of our community, and they were saying, why are you interested in us? And we were saying, well, why are you interested in us? And you kind of have this like preconcepted opinion that, you know, like the young people aren't going to be interested in old people, and the old people will not want anything to do with the younger people. And actually, when we got in the room together and started having conversations about our lives, you know, we got on really well, and we were able to connect. And I think that that's made us be much more appreciative of kind of what we've got, and of them.
If you haven't worked on a youth-led project before, get someone who has to help you. It's no good if you make a team of people who've never worked with like kids before. You all walk in, you're met by a room full of like, moody teenagers, and you just don't know what to say. Get someone who does know what to say. That is key.
The main thing that you need to think about if you're going to start one of these projects is actually not to think about your opinions and think about the young people's kind of perspective, because I mean you could be changing their lives, and that's really important.
The first thing you need to do is you need to figure out your goal. You need to build it around that. Because once you get your goal, you can figure out, okay, this is how we're going to do parts of it. And that then leads you to your age bracket. Because that's the thing, like, there's no point saying anyone between 7 and 17 can come, because it's going to be really unbalanced then.
Also as well, like the origin of whatever project you're doing needs to come from either a young person or kind of a young adult, just to get a grasp of what they're interested in.
Also, I think we should just make it fun. Like, not have it all work sometimes, but have elements of enjoyment.
If you're able to, if you have the budget to, get some trips in there, get some people to come in and speak, and because that just, it helps so much. It provides inspiration. It gives like the young producers, stuff to work with.
The size of your group, like how many young people are in it, is important, because obviously you're trying to get as many people interested as possible and like involved in the project. But it's also like the more people you have, the more people people have to know and kind of feel comfortable with sharing their ideas and opinions.
You'll have a few people who know each other, but then you may have one or two individuals who've just walked into a room full of strangers. So you need to have ways, to help with that, because not everyone's the most sociable. Talking about my own experiences here. So it's good to have like, it sounds silly, but it's good to have icebreakers. But it just gets people talking, and that's like kind of one of the key parts. Like, you can't work together as a group if the group doesn't really get along and know each other.
Having that environment of kind of a little bit of fun as well, with kind of music and food, and kind of getting a bit of time to kind of chat. Like, even still now, even though we all already know each other, it's nice to kind of still build on that relationship that we have with each other.
The refreshments and music made your bond a little bit more. Because we could talk about, what music we like. And if you're bonding with someone, you're more likely to work with them.
Yeah.
And also the fact that the people at Blaze could reimburse bus tickets and train tickets, I'm pretty sure, made people want to come a lot more.
Yeah, you've got to make it accessible, haven't you, if you want a lot of people to come. Once we got to know each other, and then we kind of had a little bit of a chat about what we wanted to create and who was going to do which bits, you didn't want to let the group down, because they were all like your friends, so you had more of a drive to do it. And whether I think if you're too work focused at the beginning, then it's kind of difficult to kind of say to the kids, well, you've got to do this and this and this, because they're not going to want to if they don't have kind of a reason to.
Yeah. It's good to have a good relationship with the facilitators, and just like not them having them tell you what to do constantly.
Yeah.
But they try to suggest stuff, and then we like the ideas, and then we just...
I think eventually when like our kind of leaders got to know us and we got to know them, it was kind of easy, because we found a balance between, they've got to kind of sometimes get us back on track and kind of lead us in the right direction, but also if they're kind of directing us too much, then it's a bit like we lose interest.
Yeah.
If their own life and experiences relates to the work you're doing, then that can actually be really good, because it means that they're passionate about it.
You need someone who's kind of like got bubbly, like excited energy, and can kind of like cheer people up and kind of light up a room a little bit and get people excited and pumped up. But then also you kind of need people who can be a bit more of a like relaxing vibe, to just kind of keep things on track and kind of make you feel comfortable. But you definitely need both, I would say.
It's important for us to make sure that everyone in the group feels safe.
Yeah.
So we talk about what if we get more members and what we would like do if someone didn't feel safe in our group.
Yeah.
So that's just like really important for us.
Yeah, I think it's a given that we kind of respect each other and that we respect each other's personal boundaries and things like that. And I think it's a very friendly environment now, and introducing new people, we just need to make them aware of that.
It's just important to like know boundaries, I guess, in the group. But we also have youth workers who are there if you do need a talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, know who you can talk to and what you can talk to them about.
Our facilitators, before the project started, were also kind of made aware of where they can go if we had any problems. Some young people can find it a bit silly, I guess, or kind of like a more of a school environment to kind of have a list of rules. But we kind of set them out not being rules, as being kind of guidelines, just how to talk to each other.
You've got to keep everyone safe, and that's not just the people you're working with, the young people. That's also the staff themselves and the members of the community who you're talking to.
So when we were recording our oral histories, we made sure that we told them to kind of stay safe in terms of like talking about personal information and things. And I think that it's a good thing because it makes them feel safe, as well as like keeping their friends and family safe when they're talking about them.
Consent forms. You kind of need to have them because it's the written consent that's saying, hey, I'm going to tell you my story, you can use it. You don't want to step on anyone's toes, you don't want to betray anyone's trust, you don't want to like out someone who, just has somebody to rather keeps themselves.
I feel like having a different perspective is why it's good to have young people on the project, because we obviously live in two different ages.
If you just keep reaching out to the people your age, the people around you, you're constantly just talking about sharing this sort of information with them, then you've just kind of created a closed circuit, and it's not one that's going to last forever because you're not going to last forever, really. You've got to bridge that gap. You've got to get out to us because we're going to be here after you, and then we're going to do the same thing, and that's how knowledge is passed on.
You need young people because, especially if you're kind of in a museum or whatever and you're trying to get more people in, like half of those people are going to be young people and they're not going to want to go. But if they see kind of their friends going, their friends kind of getting excited about the project that they're doing there, it's going to make them more interested, and that's like, it'll drag them in.